All right, black and white sports supporters. Well, my goodness. Oh, hell. Unfortunately for the Indiana Fever, the internet is forever. And one way or another, regardless of somebody trying to delete this video or whatever, somebody got it. I had people blowing up my DMs. Did you see this video? And I was like,
The video disappeared from the internet almost instantly, but the damage had already been done. Caitlin Clark had finally reached her breaking point, and the cameras captured every second of the heated moment on the Indiana Fever bench. This was not a small disagreement or a quick emotional reaction during the game. It looked like a complete breakdown of authority happening in real time. Clark was visibly yelling at the coaching staff, and the frustration on her face was impossible to ignore. Moments like this are not supposed to happen on live television, especially during a game the team was actually winning. The generational talent expected to transform the franchise now appears to be openly clashing with the very people responsible for leading her future.
Stephanie White, John. The other video I'm talking about that John the Liquidator got is Caitlin Clark going at it with an assistant coach on the bench. Caitlin was pissed. And dollars to donuts. She was angry. These coaches are angry because she's not running this offense. From the fourth quarter of the game before last, where she went bonkers, and last night, she's running the Caitlin Clark system. I'm going to be the most dynamic playmaker this...
Digital footprints are almost impossible to erase, and even though someone tried to remove the footage of the sideline confrontation, fans reacted faster. Social media and DMs exploded throughout the night because people felt they were witnessing the beginning of the end for this coaching era. When you have a player like Caitlin Clark, you do not treat her like a rookie who needs constant control, you build the system around her strengths. However, during the matchup against the Seattle Storm, it became clear that Stephanie White and her staff may be trying to do the opposite. Instead of adapting to Clark's style, they appear committed to maintaining a system many fans believe is outdated for a player of her caliber. The tension has now reached a level that no PR team can easily smooth over.
Clark system. I'm going to be the most dynamic playmaker this league has ever seen, and it's not close. That's the system I'm running. Whereas we know Stephanie White, good God, make 4 passes. If she passes the ball away, and Caitlin's realizing this, she's never getting it back. And look, again, Kelsey Mitchell, dynamic scorer. If Caitlin passes the ball, she's not getting it back. Kelsey is shooting that sumbitch. You can guarantee it. I think Caitlin's starting to realize some of this. And I don't think Stephanie White's...
One of the most shocking moments in the footage showed Caitlin Clark in a heated exchange with an assistant coach right on the bench. She looked furious, and it clearly was not about a missed shot or a defensive mistake. The frustration seemed tied to the offensive system itself. In previous games, Clark thrived when pushing the pace and creating freely, but now the coaching staff appears determined to slow everything down. Clark knows she is one of the league's most dynamic playmakers, yet the system often asks her to function like just another piece in a rigid structure. Whenever she is forced into those slower sets, the rhythm disappears and the frustration becomes obvious for everyone watching.
From this game, take her out of the game. You got Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham. Sophie played a hell of a game last night. And you got Lexi Hull. The Fever lose this game to the Storm last night without Caitlin Clark. And the Storm may be the worst roster in the league. They lose this game. And I'm not sure they win it with Aaliyah Boston in there. The way she's played. And I get it, she's hurt, yada, yada, yada. I get it. But again, Caitlin had 21 points. You see that final score.
Stephanie White's coaching philosophy seems centered on a slower, more controlled offense where the ball moves through multiple passes before anyone attacks the basket. From Clark's perspective, once she gives the ball up, there is no guarantee she will get it back in a position to create. Kelsey Mitchell is an elite scorer, but fans know that once the ball reaches her hands, she is usually looking to shoot. Clark appears to be realizing that surrendering control within the system limits her own impact on the game. She wants to play fast, create opportunities, and dominate offensively, while the coaching staff wants structure and patience. That clash in philosophy is exactly why the sideline frustration boiled over.
An attempt to micromanage everything she does.
She's right here, Caitlin. The assistant coach is right there. They're going at it.
This coaching staff is not fit to coach a modern style player. So this is the video. Caitlin Clark is going off.
Wow.
Off, bro. Oh my God. Wow. Wow.
Even though the Indiana Fever escaped with a win over the Seattle Storm, the numbers tell a more complicated story. The team struggled in both the second and fourth quarters, which happened to be the stretches where Caitlin Clark spent long periods on the bench. To many fans, it almost feels like the coaching staff is trying to prove the team can function without its superstar, even though the offense often looks lost whenever she leaves the floor. Against a Seattle roster many consider weaker than top contenders, the Fever still barely held things together. Supporters believe that without Clark's influence, this team could easily fall near the bottom of the standings.
Caitlin Clark is going off.
Wow.
Off, bro. Oh my God. Wow. Wow. This is made.
Wow. Wow. Shout out John the Liquidator. Wow. Wow. Woo! Dollars to donuts. They are pissed.
Caitlin Clark finished with 21 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks in only 24 minutes. Many fans immediately wondered what those numbers could have looked like if she had played 32 or 35 minutes like most superstars. She was on pace for a huge triple-double performance, but the coaching staff carefully managed her playing time. Critics argue that every time Clark begins building momentum, she gets taken out of the game, disrupting her rhythm. That constant interruption has become one of the biggest sources of frustration among supporters and appears to be contributing to the visible tension between Clark and the staff.
The Indiana Fever were light, nearly 3,000 in attendance last night. 17,274 is what this arena holds. They had 14,505. That's never $8 tickets. That's never happened. Resellers are trapped with tickets right now. Tickets that at the beginning of last year that were selling for 50 and 60 and 70 bucks, up at the very top, they're $8 tickets now. They can't get rid of them. They're losing their ass. Venom.
The exchange between Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White was reportedly captured by fans who refused to let the moment disappear online. Clark appeared to be explaining her perspective about the flow of the game, while White looked frustrated with the continued discussion. At one point, viewers interpreted White's body language as dismissive, almost as if she wanted Clark to simply sit down and stop arguing. Fans believe you cannot treat a player with Clark's basketball IQ like a child. The situation has sparked debates about respect, communication, and leadership within the organization.
Yeah. Caitlin Clark, by the way, 21 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks in 24 minutes. If she had played 32 minutes, she probably had a triple-double last night. I mean, her coach is playing defense on her. God almighty. Wow. Caitlin Clark with the block on Natasha Heidemann last night and did the Mutombo. The Mutombo.
It feels like the Indiana Fever coaching staff is not fully equipped to handle a modern superstar who understands the game at an elite level. Instead of adapting the system around Caitlin Clark's unique strengths, they appear determined to force her into a structure that limits her creativity. Clark is used to being the engine of the offense, controlling the pace, creating opportunities, and making quick decisions in transition. Meanwhile, Stephanie White seems focused on slowing the game down and maintaining control, even when the results suggest the opposite approach might work better. The frustration fans witnessed on the bench was not simply about one emotional moment during a game, it reflected a season-long battle over identity, philosophy, and leadership. Clark looked exhausted from constantly being managed and restricted instead of being allowed to play freely. Videos shared online by fan accounts before the clips disappeared captured the tension clearly. Viewers saw Clark waving her hands while trying to explain her perspective to the coaching staff, while the reactions from the bench appeared cold and dismissive. To many supporters, it looked like a situation slowly reaching a breaking point. Even though the Fever managed to defeat the Seattle Storm, fans believe the larger issues remain unresolved. The team often struggles offensively whenever Clark leaves the floor, exposing concerns about roster depth and consistency. Players such as Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull continue to contribute important minutes, but the offense still depends heavily on Clark's ability to create scoring opportunities for everyone else. One of the game's biggest highlights came when Clark blocked Natasha Heidemann and followed it with the iconic fingerwag celebration made famous by Dikembe Mutombo. That moment showed that her confidence, competitiveness, and passion for winning remain extremely strong despite the visible tension with the coaching staff. Fans have also started worrying about attendance and ticket value. The arena reportedly fell short of a sellout despite Clark being one of the biggest attractions in basketball, while resale ticket prices dropped dramatically. Many supporters feel disappointed because they expected to watch a fast, exciting offense built around Clark's creativity, not a slow and restrictive system focused on constant structure. Concerns surrounding injuries and inconsistent performances from players like Aaliyah Boston have only increased the pressure surrounding the team. Critics argue that the Fever's current approach may struggle badly against elite teams such as the New York Liberty, Las Vegas Aces, and Minnesota Lynx, especially if Clark continues to be restricted within the offense. At the same time, criticism of Stephanie White's leadership style continues to grow. Some fans believe she communicates with Clark more like a strict authority figure than a collaborative coach working alongside a generational talent. Online conversations involving media personalities such as Dave Portnoy and Lisa Salters have only intensified the spotlight surrounding the Fever. At the center of all the debate is one undeniable fact: Caitlin Clark remains the face of the franchise and the player carrying the league's biggest expectations. Fans believe the organization must eventually choose between fully embracing her fast-paced style or continuing to force her into a system that limits her impact. The growing tension between Clark and the coaching staff has become one of the biggest stories surrounding the Fever, and many believe the future direction of the franchise may depend entirely on how that relationship develops moving forward.